Key point 1. Effective communication is a skill you can develop. Most people believe they are great communicators, but only some understand what excellent communication is. Interaction is based on two simultaneous processes, talking and listening. Any successful conversation involves at least two people who take turns in a natural and non-interruptive manner. For example, if you love the sound of your voice and don't let others put in a word, people will start avoiding you. Many love to share their opinions and are eager to describe their experience or give advice. Nevertheless, these people can be poor listeners, even if they think differently. Mindful listening takes more effort than talking because you must empathize with the other person and stay attentive to the verbal and nonverbal signs. The most outstanding psychiatrists and HRs are great communicators because they are professional listeners and can tell when someone is manipulating information, lying, or hiding something. Great listeners can read others without effort. Communication is a skill you can work on and get successful at. Whether you are a terrible listener or a lousy talker, you can change it with simple daily habits you can introduce in every conversation. Start by analyzing the quality of your communication with your family, partner, coworkers, or friends. Do your talks end great and both of you leave emotionally fulfilled? Or are your chats boring and irritating? Even if your situation seems hopeless, don't get discouraged. Envision yourself socializing without any disputes or negativity. Imagine how you can easily switch topics, manage your emotions, and listen to others with interest. It will help you to overcome the barriers and prepare for the conversation. In this summary, you'll discover 4 essential elements of successful communication that will turn you into a great talker and listener. Sounds exciting? Let's get started. Key point 2. Empathy is the route toward better communication. Effective communication helps you build solid and lasting relationships. Everyone knows how great it is to have a person you can share with and feel that they listen to you and understand what you mean. The most significant relationships are based on love, trust, and shared interests. However, it would only survive with successful communication based on empathy. Empathy is a skill we develop throughout our lives, and it's the ability to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. You shouldn't confuse it with sympathy, though. Empathy doesn't mean you constantly feel sorry for the person. If you are empathetic, you can put yourself in their place, understand how they feel, and respond in a more caring and comprehending way. Empathy makes you a better friend, partner, and parent. It also makes you a great communicator. Have you ever had a deep, meaningful conversation with someone you love? You may have had a similar one with a stranger on a plane. No matter how strong our connections are, we can still be lousy communicators who cannot read and interpret other people's cues. If a person is a professional conversationalist, they can give you the same feeling of being understood and cared for, just as a close friend can. Hence, you can learn to share this feeling of fulfillment with others. Empathy is a skill you can develop, but it requires putting aside your thoughts and paying attention to the other person. Listen, try to understand, and forget about your own needs for a second. By doing so, you'll notice your communication improves significantly. Only a few people understand what they need to do better regarding communication. Some blindly believe they are great talkers and keep chasing others to retell the same stories, while others scold themselves for being too shy in a conversation and unable to utter a word. Unfortunately, being a chatterbox doesn't make you a great talker, just as staying tongue-tied doesn't turn you into an attentive listener. Hence, it's crucial to analyze where you are on the communication scale and what you can do about it. By realizing your weak sides, you can put new methods into practice and turn your relationships around for the better. Did you know? There are 3 types of empathy: cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. All 3 work together seamlessly. Key point 3. The foundation of successful communication is in valuing others. The essential skill you must learn lies in recognizing your and others' uniqueness. Emphatic awareness means that you should see how great and priceless every person is and act according to this belief. So be emphatic before you begin communicating. To bring awareness to your daily communication, practice the following techniques. 1. Start with yourself. Always treat yourself with respect and love because you are unique and no one is like you. If you don't feel worthy enough or you don't realize how exceptional you are, try this. Meditation or any spiritual practice that calms and makes your mind peaceful. Positive affirmations. You can praise your strong sides and practice acceptance of the weak ones. Read books that raise your self-worth. Take part in various motivational classes and workshops. 2. Treat others with the same level of dignity as yourself. Everyone is extraordinary, just like you. Therefore, if they want to share something with you and give you their most precious resource, time, you should accept it with gratitude. If you don't like the person, concentrate on everything you can learn from them. For example, the trait you hate in them is probably the merit you cannot stand in your character. We need to reach out with our eyes, ears, words, and attitude to make a connection of heart with that person. Bento C. Leal III. A practical tip on pulling your mind back when it wanders off during the conversation lies in this 4-step routine. 1. Stop for a second and notice your thoughts. 2. Think about the person's value and their words to you. 3. Turn your attention back to the person. 4. Promise to be more attentive and present next time. 3. Make it your intention to empathize with another person. When you strive to strengthen bonds with others, they will respond with trust and openness. 4. Concentrate on the positive sides of your relationships. For example, if you have issues with your coworker, don't dwell on them in your thoughts or words. Instead, think about this individual's strength and find as much good in them as possible. Did you know? Fake it till you make it is an excellent approach to treating others with respect and care. Thus, before you feel like an empathic person, act like one. Key point 4. Learn to understand, not just to hear the words. Most people assume they're good listeners, but they simply hear the words. Nevertheless, listening is more than that. It is about making an effort to understand and look beyond the text of the speech. Many complain that their partner doesn't listen to them, and this can cause significant problems over time. It makes a person feel undervalued and unseen. For example, at the dinner table, a wife tells her husband about her harrowing day at work. He listens, but his eyes wander around the room, or he sighs a few times. The woman sees that her partner is indifferent to her feelings and shuts her emotions away. Eventually, she will feel that her husband doesn't love her anymore, and her trust will shatter. Such little conversations can either save and enhance your relationships or break them. In most cases, it depends on how well you listen and how you can express your empathy. The first step to active listening is to avoid thinking about anything else and zone in on the other person. Attempt to see things through their eyes. Then listen to their words and watch their body language and other nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions and hand gestures. Avoid trying to second-guess what they're going to say or thinking about what you want to say. Interrupting someone when they're speaking will ruin the conversation. Next, pay attention to the tone of their voice, how fast or slow they're talking, and whether they're stumbling over their words. Emotions aren't often expressed properly in words. Nonverbal cues usually tell you how the person is feeling. Active listening allows you to recognize this and read between the lines. Once they've finished talking and you haven't interrupted them, repeat a summarized version of what they've said. It shows that you listened and understood them, makes them see their thoughts from the side, and notes how logical or exaggerated they are. Becoming a better listener helps deepen connections, build trust, and enhance relationships. Thus, this fundamental skill is vital for successful communication, as it keeps the conversationalists attentive to each other's words and feelings. It is the basis of caring in every relationship, from romantic to working ones. Key point 5. Overcome communication blocks for better relationships. Many people grapple with communication from time to time. It's a common issue that we all tangle with. However, these issues can become habits we don't notice and eventually cause significant problems in our relationships. Being aware in a conversation helps to detect negative communication tactics. The main listening blocks that prevent you from being a good conversationalist include the following. Reading the mind of the person you are talking to. You think you know the ending of their speech and won't be open to hearing the truth. Daydreaming instead of focusing on the conversation. Criticizing and analyzing the speaker. For instance, you claim they did everything wrong instead of supporting and letting them express their feelings. Giving unsolicited advice. In such a case, you can imagine yourself in someone else's shoes, not to understand the person and empathize with them, but to recommend how you'd do it and how it's better. You then become a speaker and overload the person with tons of unnecessary information. Selecting the elements you like and silencing the rest. This way, you listen only to the information you want rather than hearing the whole story and seeing a complete picture of the situation. You must have all the constituents of the conversation to be able to comprehend and empathize. Trying to one-up the other person. For instance, if they tell you that they've had a bad day and you say yours was far worse. So they will assume they can't talk to you because you won't take them seriously. Instead of listening to their problem, you downsize it and turn the conversation spotlight on your persona. Most people get into at least one such listening trap. Some are impatient enough to hear the story till the end and interrupt it in the middle of the sentence. Others are looking for an opportunity to switch topics or move the conversation projector lights to themselves. In any case, people feel hurt and emptied if others behave this way. Such behavior can affect relationships and lead to dramatic consequences because we can resolve issues only through honest and qualitative communication. Noticing and eliminating these barriers will make you a better conversationalist and more trustworthy. Consequently, pay close attention to your listening style and drawbacks and learn to empathize. Key point 6. Learn how to convey your thoughts and feelings for a better connection. It can be hard to express your feelings accurately, especially when you're having problems in your relationship. Usually, the stronger your emotions, the fewer chances you will utter your thoughts effectively. Anger and disappointment worsen the situation, as the other person can shut you out or leave the room without a word. Such communication isn't successful and may end in a profound misunderstanding or a fight. Sharing your feelings allows you and your partner to overcome problems more efficiently. Here are a few techniques you can try to express yourself effectively in a conversation. Prepare what you want to say beforehand. Saying things in the heat of the moment could be taken the wrong way or cause further damage. Also, make sure that you're using statements beginning with I rather than you to prevent another person from feeling like you're blaming them. When you stick to your feelings and emotions instead of judging your partner's behavior, the discussion will end in peace and mutual understanding. Be mindful and make sure you choose the words carefully. You must be clear and concise. Don't overload the other person with vague and long sentences because it can confuse and irritate them. Check the tone of your voice. It can be challenging to speak softly when you are overwhelmed with negative emotions. Nevertheless, attempt to avoid sharp and harsh tones. Remember, your goal is to boost empathy and care in your relationship. Evaluate and accommodate your tone of voice while communicating, as it may affect the outcome of your conversation. Stick to one problem at a time and be straight to the point when you're speaking. A common issue for people trying to express complex feelings is jumping from one topic to another, which is confusing for the other person. So stay alert to avoid sidetracking the conversation when emotions take the upper hand. If you are unsure how attentive your interlocutor is or need feedback, pause your speech and ask their opinion. This way, you'll ensure they understand you and don't skip any significant aspect of your talk. Show gratitude to the person once the discussion is over. Thank them for listening and supporting you in this challenging moment. This back-and-forth communication enhances relationships, as both parties can speak and listen. After all, sincere and meaningful conversation is the primary tool for solving difficulties. Key point 7. Put time and effort into your relationship to enhance trust and empathy. It's a universal truth that relationships affect our lives immensely. Interaction at work predetermines our success, while deep bonding in romantic or family connections gives a sense of fulfillment and joy. However, any human affiliation is dynamic and can change in seconds or in one unfortunate conversation. Even though many are determined to love and respect the underlying aspect influencing the quality of our relationships, communication is the one that keeps them floating during the storms of life. If people can talk through their pains and sorrows, there is nothing they cannot overcome. Furthermore, properly putting your emotions into words is vital in friendships and marriages, as the partners are close and emotionally dependent on each other. Successful communication saves people from broken hearts and loneliness. Thus, quality communication with others determines your life more than you think. For example, if you go into deep and meaningful conversations with your kids at the dinner table, they will trust you and talk to you even when they grow old. Furthermore, no matter how great your relationships are at work, with your partner, or with children, never take any of those people for granted. It's easy to get into this trap when we get used to each other in a home setting, and eventually neglect the attention and care we are supposed to give our loved ones. Express love and support in your relationship by noticing and saying things you are grateful for. Show them your appreciation for specific things they do any day of the year. Moreover, you can admire and congratulate them for being as they are, behaving in a particular way, or accomplishing something. Your loved ones will sense your nurture and open up to you, even if it is about little things. To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. Bento C. Leal III. Developing an exceptional relationship is not easy, but possible with day-to-day habits you can introduce into your life. You must communicate clearly and with empathy, dedicate time and attention, and be present in the moment. Conclusion. It's easy to fall into negative habits that wreck relationships over time, from being passive-aggressive without realizing it to being accidentally sarcastic just because you're in a slightly bad mood that day. These are all issues that can cause misunderstandings and arguments. Once that happens, you're on a slippery slope to a destroyed relationship. Yet you can resolve most issues with honest and open communication. The most significant stumbling point for many people is listening. It sounds like the most accessible concept, but many fail to do it properly. Active listening means tuning into the words, body language, and other cues the person gives you. Once you do that, you'll read between the lines and understand how someone feels and what they mean. By dedicating time to quality interaction, your relationships will improve tenfold. You'll also set an excellent example for those around you, who may be motivated to work on their communication skills too. The truth is that we can all improve with motivation and effort. Try this. 1. When someone is speaking to you, focus on them and avoid interrupting. Put yourself in their place and strive to understand their thoughts. Such a simple task will encourage empathy. 2. Learn to read body language by being aware of the people around you. What do you think their body language is telling you? 3. Practice using I statements instead of you when talking to your partner. I feel upset that we don't spend as much time together is better than you're always with your friends.